Welcome back to Broadwater's Baking. Today we're going to make a quiche. So you're going to learn how to make short crust pastry and hopefully use up any vegetables that you might have in the fridge. In terms of equipment, you will need a mixing bowl, a rolling pin, a knife, a fork, a measuring jug, a flan dish, a tablespoon and a cooling rack. Obviously I've already made my filling, so you would also, for that, if you're going to be chopping vegetables, you're going to need a chopping board and a knife. So here goes. First thing you're going to do is put your flour into your mixing bowl. It is, for this, 100 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of margarine. If you have a larger quiche dish than the one that I've shown, you will need to do 200 grams of plain flour and 100 grams of hard margarine. It's always half fat to flour. So, when you have cut up your margarine, it will go into your mixing bowl. Then you are going to rub in with your fingertips. If you watched the clip on how to make shortbread, this is the same thing, except with short crust pastry, it is really important that you do not overhandle your pastry. So you are rubbing in with your fingertips. They are the coolest part of your hands. And it is important to rub through your fingers. If you can look at the technique that I'm showing you, this will help. Now with short crust pastry, it is very important that you do not over rub your margarine into your flour. So we will be going through a little Thompson tip for you again, which is to shake the mixing bowl and the larger lumps of margarine will come to the top. So I'll just show that to you now. So shake, and you will see that the lumps have not rubbed in. So you need to go back in with your fingertips. Remember to be patient because this is not going to happen straight away. Okay, so we are rubbing through. It's the whole technique. Through your fingertips. Hopefully this will not take too long. So we'll shake the bowl again. And you'll see that there's still a few lumps. But at this stage, it is so important that you don't over rub. If it starts to come together in your hands, then you've over rubbed it. So you would need to stop straight away. I think this should be ready to go, because I don't want to over rub. So, there we go. When your margarine is rubbed into your flour, what you then need to do is make a well in the centre. In food terms, a well is a hole. You are then going to add, if you're using 100 grams of plain flour, you are going to add 2 tablespoons of water. Then, using your knife, you bring this together. Very important that you do not overhandle pastry. So you tilt the bowl and you bring this together. If you find after a while that it's not coming together, then you can add a little bit more water. But I would be very, very careful about this because you can then make your pastry too wet. So bringing this together, constantly move that around, and it's really important that you press hard with the knife. It won't just come together if you stand there going like this. So you've got to really press down. And you will see from this that we are going to have success, I hope, because it is going to come together with 2 tablespoons of water. I would suggest that if you're using 200 grams of flour, that you add 3 tablespoons of water, try and then add another. Don't add 4 tablespoons at the same time. When your dough looks like this, you then get your hand in and you bring this together so that your bowl is clean. Then what you do is add to your work surface, sprinkle some flour. This time I'm not going to use too much like I did in the shortbread. Bring this together onto here. Now, as I said, it is very, very important that you do not overhandle your dough. So, knead gently and then pop some flour onto your rolling pin, and then what you are going to do, you roll it once, you turn it a quarter. You roll it again, you turn it a quarter. This is to get your dough into a regular shape. And what you're going to need to do is get your dough so that it is larger than your flan dish. You can see from this that your pastry is bigger than your flan dish. What you have to do now is to line your flan dish with the pastry. So to do that, use your rolling pin to lift your pastry up. Then bring it over the flan dish and just let the pastry drop down. So what you're doing is don't stretch it, let it just drop in. Hopefully you can see that. So it needs to be dropped in. If you stretch your pastry, then it will shrink more when it's cooking. And what you have to do is trim your dish. Now, if you've got a dish with a fluted top, what you can do is just get your rolling pin and roll it over the top of your flan dish. Unfortunately, mine hasn't got a fluted edge, so what I've got to do is use my knife, lift it up, and very gently trim around the edge. When you have got your flan case ready, you're going to add in your fillings. Now for a quiche, you can have lots of different fillings. I'm using mushrooms and pepper. You can use broccoli, you can use bacon, you can use onion, sweet corn. Doesn't really matter, it's whatever you fancy in there. And this is a good way to use up any leftover vegetables that you might have in the fridge in order to create yourself a nice fresh meal. Then what I'm going to do is add in my grated cheese. Leave a little bit to go on the top. Next step we've got to do is to add our eggs and our milk. I'm just going to have to go to the fridge to get the milk. because I forgot it. Whoops. Back I come. So, here we go. Now to crack your eggs, little tip for you, one of my famous Thompson tips. Get some kitchen roll or a piece of paper ready to put your eggshells on. So, crack the egg into the measuring jug. Pop that straight onto your piece of paper. And the next one. Now for a quiche this size, it is 2 eggs, and you're going to take the milk up to 250. You'll see that in a minute. It sounds a bit confusing as I'm saying it, but it will work. So first of all, beat your eggs with a fork. And then add your milk to take it up in your measuring jug to 250 millilitres. I will show you that on the side of the jug in a minute. So pour your milk in and it will read 250 millilitres. So if my lovely cameraman can just show the 250 mils on the measuring jug. And I don't think he can. Never mind, it will say, oh, we have it, 250 mils. Well done, cameraman. So now what we do is we whisk this together and make sure that you do mix it all together, otherwise you're going to get little yellow bits of yolk showing. Now obviously you need a bit of flavouring seasoning in there, very important to season your food. So we are going to add a small pinch of salt, some pepper. I like pepper, so I might add a bit more. There we are. And some mixed herbs. Then beat that together. And then all you're going to do is pour this into your dish. Now, what I would suggest, if you have a larger dish, as I said earlier, and you're going to increase the amount of pastry, then you are going to need to increase the amount of egg mixture. So for that, you will need 3 eggs, and you will take it up to 375 millilitres. This is now going to go into the oven, and it is on 180 degrees or gas mark 4, and it's around about 25 to 35 minutes. When the time is up, your quiche will look like this. It needs to be firm to the touch to show that it's cooked. Now the other thing that I did, because I had some leftover pastry, I chose to make some jam tarts because I don't think you should be wasting anything. So all you need to do for that is to roll out your pastry, use a pastry cutter, cut it out, line the baking tin that you've got, like a little fairy cake tin or something, pop a teaspoon of jam in, and you'll end up with some nice lovely jam tarts. Now, I apologise for the technical hitches that we've experienced today because my cameraman is in training, and rather than press pause as he did in my first episode, he chose to press stop. So therefore, this demonstration has come to you in 3 separate parts. Anyway, I hope you enjoy, and I will see you again soon. Bye!